existing innovation support system. So that itself speaks of some kind of a disconnect or the loss in the interface between the firms and the public research or the innovation system which exists here in the country. So in the third case, if you see the high-tech exports, so high-tech exports, as I told, are an embodiment of innovation and competitiveness. So if we look into one such indicator in terms of understanding this, so one is that India's share of high-tech exports in total manufacturing exports for the country was 8% in 2013. Now if we see where the other countries stand, so probably that will give you an eye-opener and a glimpse of where the high-tech exports or the science and technology is contributing, in terms of products or exports, So we see that India's share in high-tech exports in total manufacturing exports was 8% as compared to other countries. Now just here with patience, Philippines 56.4%, Singapore 53.4%, Malaysia 51.5%, Malta 42.5%, China 35.5%, and Indonesia even still better than India, 13.1%, as against the world average of 24%. So this is the scenario if we talk about science and technology led innovation or growth or competitiveness. So in fact India stood at 18th position on this particular indicator. So this again raises the question, what are the reasons behind this situation, or do we have indicators revealing this facet? We try to cover it up through another set of indicators, and we find that India lags on something called basic requirements, imparting infrastructure and macroeconomic environment, on indicators such as business sophistication and innovation from countries even like Costa Rica, Indonesia, Malaysia, and all this. It lags behind on other indicators as well. So this is all I have tried to cull it out from the global competitiveness. So India lags behind on other indicators like financial service availability, financial service affordability, FDI and technology transfer, firm level technology adoptions, latest technology availability, including university industry collaboration. So this again speaks of that whatever the state of affairs is not rosy, and the topic like technology transfer and commercialization is very much relevant and very much important for the resilience of science, technology and innovation sector in the country, and for the success of the Make in India program as well. So with this I would like to say my gratitude, offer my gratitude to the workshop organizers by saying that this has given me I say I take this opportunity to thank one and all for participation and wish you all every success in your deliberation in this workshop, and of course to the Aspire team of ASCI for providing this platform, who have worked relentlessly to ensure the success of this event. Thanking you.
Dr. Arora for such a wonderful talk. Now I request Dr. Hirwani to deliver his inaugural address through Skype. Dr. Hirwani has been listening patiently to all the speakers, so you have the benefit of also having heard the two earlier speakers. So over to you, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Ravikant, Professor Bhatji, Dr. Arora. I thank you for inviting me to share my views on the theme of the workshop with the participants. We have been talking about these issues for a long time, but with the recent emphasis on translation research and Make in India program, this assumes much greater significance. Based on my experience of 3 decades in technology transfer, being an interface of R&D institutions in the market, frankly admit that the publicly funded system will not carefully examined markets, processes, products and other services, as well as techno-commercial viability of many of the solutions which we worked on. As a result, there will directionally pursue projects, do return even on industrial projects, and consequently waste of scientists' mind years and expenditure. The problem is media and communication. In our system is always unidirectional communication in which quality, quantity and timing is decided by the inventor. The inventor reports technological advances but does not relate his findings to the market requirements. And then you go and file patents without realizing who wants it. Dr. Arora talked about the patents. In general, from publicly funded system, whether it is CSI or other academic institutions, if you examine them, you find the majority of them do not have commercial significance. Even if they have, very often they are commercially non-viable. You get a patent for the novelty, and it's not the job of a patent office to determine whether the invention will make money or not. Invention may be patentable, but not necessarily every patentable invention should be patented, and every patented invention is not profitable. Patenting system does work on first to file system, but the market system doesn't work on first to find system. Market system works on to find best system. And very often, market not ready for the inventions, and publicly funded systems are in a rather science push mode rather than a market pull mode. So there is a need for evaluation of the inventions. We need to ask questions. What need in the market might this fill? Is the market minuscule or the large? Are you addressing to some physicist in astronomy? Are you addressing some healthcare needs, some millions? How is the market being filled now? How does it differ from present solution? If the need in the market, human ingenuity search, the need is always fulfilled. It might be inefficiently fulfilled, but people do find some solution to fill that need or solve that problem. And very often, we don't recognize the need. Sometimes you have a solution for which you need to be developed in the markets. The classic example I always like to give is polarized instant camera. Land who worked on the camera started working on it after his child, a small girl, said, "Papa, I want to see her just now." He explained to her that the role will have to be finished, it will have to be developed. It will take some time before she can see her picture. The child being child, she cried, "No, Papa, I want to see it now." And that made him think. And he started working on the problem. To that point of time, no customer had articulated the need. And once he developed it, it was instant success. You also have to see, is it really investing in the market? There are markets which are very mature, sunset industries. In those mature industries, people do not want to displace the capital. You must realize the cost of displacement of capital is very high. You may have an invention, you may have an innovation, you may have benefits, but the cost of displacement of existing capital is very high. How sure are we that our inventions will work? Can we demonstrate? It is one thing to do it in a flask, and another thing to put it on a 50,000 ton commercial plant. What is the nature of our claims? What is the scope? Break from those claims? Is the invention too early, which happened in a lot of biotech sector? Or is it rate of obsolescence? We have worked on it, we have got the patent and developed the technology. The world is changing very fast, the pace of change is so high, technology is becoming obsolete in certain sectors 3 to 5 years of time. Electronics, computing, ICT. Patent may give you a life of 20 years, but then no value for your technology after 5 years in the market. Are we dominating patents? You have a patent, people fail to realize that patent is a negative right. You may get restricted by an existing dominating patent, and you may not have freedom to operate. Scientists still don't understand what the freedom to operate means. Again, if you look at the majority of patents, they are process patents. 65% of patents in Indian publicly funded system, if you look, they are process patents. Process patents are short shelf life and very difficult to enforce. Post-gap, IPR regime is product focused. The licensing is less attractive for the customer today. In most of our laboratories, we have poor process engineering capabilities. And process technology capability of customer in the last 2 decades have increased considerably. And the main for systems have been durability to complete the innovation chain. You innovation is show the proof of concept. But the considerable amount of product application market development is required. What is called a last mile. Running the last mile is a lot of sweat. And scientists are unwilling to run that mile. The other bottlenecks in technology transfer in industry are cultural organizations, time horizons, quality, confidentiality. In terms of time horizons, in the laboratories our horizons are very long, and for industry they are very short. We look at a financial structure as a cost structure. For industry it has to be a profit center. Our output is knowledge and information. For industry it is goods and services. And our orientation is being based on the perceived need or the novelty. But for industry, it has to be marketability and the profit motive. We talk about the quality, I'm talking about the quality of what we deliver. That brings us to what do we understand by the technology. For a scientist in the lab, the proof of a concept in a flask is a technology. A patent application accepted by a patent office is a technology. That is not what technology is. For industry, scalable processes, process manuals, quality control manuals, design packages, and finally the product which comes out must meet the customer requirement, it must perform in the customer's premises. That is what the technology is. So there is a mismatch of expectations. And what we don't realize is the cost of R&D escalates rapidly when the concepts are taken to the marketplace. Laboratory research only constitutes about 15%. The process development about 25%, and a commercial development is close to 60%. So major chunk of money has to be spent at the partners level, and which we fail to recognize. And when we deal with the clients, our selection of the clients are very often wrong. If I look at typical Indian industry profile, you have three categories of people. One, traders who just want to make quick money. They have no commitment to technology or particular business. Other is imitators who observe the leaders and if they succeed they want to follow on. To a limited extent those kind of customers are fine. But real customers are innovators. People who have patience to invest in technology and wait for the returns. So what we need to look for in our partners is people who are champions of R&D, with breadth of expertise, and appreciation of technology as instrument for growth, and have technical, financial and marketing strength to take the new product to the marketplace. We also need to look for what is their in-house R&D capabilities, what is their past track record based on in-house R&D and commercialization of technology. Our limitations are government structure, which does not give much flexibility, and with CAG and other agencies becoming active, people are afraid to take bold decisions. Whether it is on pricing, putting an extra effort, because when you are talking about a technology transfer, there cannot be fixed timelines or fixed monetary value input. Something may take much more effort than what you had estimated. It may require some more time to be spent in the plant, some more balancing equipment to be put in before it works. And the value system within the organizations. If your value system is publishing papers, getting recognition on the basis of those papers, fellowships and promotions, people are unlikely to sweat it out on a technology transfer. And finally is the problems of delivery. One is mismatch of expectations from both the sides. Second is promise versus performance. The other constraint to technology transfer are lack of pilot plant facilities in most of the labs. When we were in 60s and 70s in post-substitution era, most of the labs had the pilot plants. Today those pilot plants have disappeared. There are no new pilot plants. Lack of adequate technology evaluation and demonstration facilities. Absence of design centers. Not only engineering design, very often new products also require aesthetic designs. No labs pay any attention to design aspects. Inadequate assistance in pre-production and debottlenecking trials. We need some more funding for promoting the diffusion of infant technologies. There is lack of coverage towards insurance for failure in the adoption of new technologies. I remember we had developed a catalyst. Catalyst had worked perfectly fine in the lab reactor. We had produced the catalyst in commercial quantities. We wanted IPCL to load in a plant. Dr. A.S. Gugmani was the CMD. He said, what if it fails? Who writes on the losses for a 50,000 ton plant? We went to ICICI, met Mr. Wagel. Mr. Wagel said, we don't fund such risks. Finally, Dr. Ganguly took a decision. He said, okay, my head will roll. Let us go ahead. He went ahead and it succeeded. But if it did not succeed, what would have happened? How many CEOs you find willing to say, let go? So, questions. So, the about is when we deal with industry, we need to estimate production methods and the costs, estimate the investment of resources, be aware of regulatory factors. We talk about drugs, we talk about